like to acknowledge the Dharawal people, which is where we are on today, which are the traditional custodians of the lands. And we recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and the community. We pay our respect to them and their culture, and to elders both past and present, for they hold the memories, the traditions, the culture and the hopes of Aboriginal and Torres Strait peoples across the nation. So as I said before, welcome. This is our Meet the Teacher. So the first part of the session will go through exactly who the teachers are for your children. And then we'll move into a little bit of some information around what the hubs look like, what the learning looks like inside the hubs, some homework questions that might come up, some high school stuff, and then little bits and pieces. And right at the end, there'll be a time for a question and answer. I'm happy for you to put in your questions that you have in the Q&A part, and we'll answer them when we can get to them.
So hi, my name's Jenny Goodhue. I'm one of your child's teachers for this year. I'm a mum with 2 adult daughters. I have over 35 years of teaching experience from preschool through to adult education, English as a second language and special education. My passions are reading, swimming, playing hockey, travelling overseas and within Australia, completing jigsaw puzzles, and of course my dog Jackson. I travelled to Scotland and France 4 years ago, and then India 2 years ago for a wedding. I love many different sports, and I play hockey on Saturdays for Macquarie Fields Hockey Club, and I swim competitively for Campbelltown Masters Swimming Club. I also have my Masters Timekeeping Certificate for swimming competitions. And my mission this year is to help your son or daughter to achieve their best and be proud of their achievements. And thank you.
Hi, I'm Nicole O'Leary. I have 3 primary age children. I'm an early childhood and primary education teacher. I enjoy spending time with my family and pets, relaxing. We go to lots of sporting events for baseball and hockey. We love watching family movies and living near the Botanic Gardens. We love nature. In the classroom, I love helping students achieve any of their goals. Library time is a big thing for me, anything to do with books. Music is a very big passion of mine as well. I'm a singer. I've taught myself a couple of instruments in the past. I hope to use that again this year. I'm also an accredited baseball coach for an under-9s team in the local area.
Hi all, I'm Mr. William. My teaching passions are more so through the authentic implementation of technology. I love teaching spelling and English in general as well. Enjoy also allowing the students to work in those flexible learning environments and sit where they feel is best for them. I studied in Japan for a short while, which was a great learning experience. I enjoy playing softball and baseball on the weekends and train my martial arts and jiu-jitsu most mornings before school.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cheryl Guider, and your child probably calls me Mrs. G. I am the RFF teacher, and if you have children in the other primary hubs, then they will also have me. I have 3 children, 18, 16 and 7, and I do have more pets at home than I do people. I do love being outdoors, zoos, golfing and 4-wheel driving. My professional background started as a scientist when I left school, and I retrained as a primary and secondary teacher once I started having kids. Currently, I'm in between primary and university teaching, and I'm towards the end of a study at uni, hence why I work 3 days. My particular interests are looking at hands-on, real-life, problem-based learning experiences, especially outside of the traditional classroom.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Miss Williams. I'm the Stage 3 Assistant Principal for Years 5 and 6. So I look after all of these wonderful teachers that we have, as well as support all of your students that we have. I've worked in various teaching roles within the education system for around about 9 years or close to that. Of those 9 or so years, the last 4 I've been either an assistant principal, either relieving or permanent. I have a strong passion for futuristic education and inspiring drive and excitement into the students that we get to work with through our innovative learning environments and looking at project-based and inquiry learning and building those skills in them. I like to make sure that students are excited and that the staff I work with are also excited about what they do to ensure that they're better equipped with the skills that they need for their futures. I also enjoy a wide range of sports, in particular, my favourites being rugby league, hockey and darts, which I represented Australia in. I enjoy reading books and spending time with my family, which includes my partner, my 10-year-old daughter and my puppy dog, Winnie.
Okay, so our learning hubs, we have an amazing learning hub for Garadi. We can have 4 classes up there. At the moment, we have almost three classes, full classes and 3 teachers. We have a wonderful veranda with seating already on it. We've got 2 withdrawal rooms, a presentation room, multiple smart boards. We have a great wet area that can be used for rainy day activities and art, washing hands, anything we can imagine in those spaces. Students are able to spread out and learn in smaller areas or with larger groups, whatever works for them best. Okay. We also use David Thornburg's learning spaces. So we've already worked our way into understanding those with the class this term. We have different areas, each have different purposes. So it might be learning from an expert, and that might be students from last year's hubs or teachers. It can be formal or informal spaces. Basically, the way I see it is it's a relaxed space where we can share our ideas and grow from each other. And then towards the end of this process, we're at the top of the mountain and we've achieved our goals and where we wanted to go with our learning intentions.
So over the last few weeks, we've done a bit of a deep dive into Gorilla, and now we're looking at The Red Tree by Sean Tan in our English sessions, where we've been looking at the visual literacy and the different ways that authors present different information to the students. So that's what we're going to continue focusing on for the next couple of weeks in our English sessions.
Okay, so in maths, we've been focusing so far on place value of numbers and addition and subtraction of 2-digit right through to 6- and 7-digit numbers. And we've also, in the last 2 weeks, started working on, and subtraction as well. Same thing, 2-digit numbers, subtracting a single digit right through to 6 to 7 digits, subtracting a smaller digit. And we've also started working on multiplication, and today they started diving into division. So in the next week or so, we'll actually be putting the students into ability-based groups and working with the different groups to help them achieve the best that they can achieve. So the students who have a really good understanding of a lot of the mathematical concepts that as we cover them will be extended, and those students who are struggling with some of the concepts will be given extra assistance to help them to understand what they need to understand, getting them ready for high school if they're in year 6, or getting them ready for year 6 next year if they're in year 5.
Okay, our project-based learning. So we've been working very hard at the moment on project-based learning. This is where we can cover lots of different areas or key learning areas under one big umbrella. At the moment, we've been working on what makes us unique. Our students have been working on self-portraits, which have begun to be displayed in our classroom window at the moment. We've also been outside, weather permitting, spending time demonstrating how to use special areas in the school, or just learning areas, toilets, court areas, and what's safe and what our expectations are. So all of those things are built into the project-based learning.
I might jump in here. We're looking at the library as what's next, and our library learning hub. As you can see from the picture, it's the dark grey top of the building above the admin block, and it's got stairs that's accessible from the outside. The library is currently part of our RFF system, and for Garadi, the hub's borrowing day is on Wednesday. The librarians are Mrs. Timmons for K to 2 and Mrs. Bryan for 3 to 6, and they've requested to look after our books. Your children have a sturdy waterproof library bag. That's just to make sure that the library books don't get damaged, but they do get to borrow every week, and they are encouraged to borrow every week. There are more than enough books for all of the students to borrow, so we really encourage that for your students. Again, going on with our wonderful spaces, and we really can't wait to share these with you in person, which will be lovely, hopefully sooner rather than later. But as you can see, our library is full of books. There are multiple workspaces available for students. So there's a grand tiered seating. It's tiered seating, which you can use as like a presentation area. There are multiple flexible seating options that you can see in the photos that allow students to be able to work and to move freely, but also to suit to use the furniture to suit whatever learning it is that's required for them in the library. And there are interactive whiteboards available where they can share screens and have you know, different teaching methods and styles utilized in the space as well. Scholastic Book Club is something that we've just started recently. We've signed up to, so the kids, I think something went out on School Loop last week about book club and the book fair, so keep an eye out for all of that. And then we will also go through the process of student library monitors, but that will be up to the librarians when they choose to do that. Here's some more examples of our flexible seating and what our library looks like on the inside.
All right, so I'm going to have a bit of a chat about technology. So obviously in 3 to 6 we're BYOD at the moment. So if you're unaware or you haven't had a note, go home just yet, which all students should have got one. If you are willing to, have your child bring a Generation 6 or above device in. We can use that within the classroom in a few different ways. So using my sort of passion is using technology in an authentic way. So I sort of use this SAMA model where we look at substitution, augmentation, redefinition, and substitution, redefinition. So what we do is we use the technology to and augmentation. So what we do is we use the technology as a way to enhance learning, where students may be doing one thing on paper. How can we use technology to build that? So just to push that again, if you are willing to allow your student to bring BYOD, it will be used in the classroom and it will be used in an authentic way to help students develop those skills in those 21st century skills.
Yeah, we are really hoping that currently we have a few devices available in the classroom, in the learning hubs rather, for students to use, but currently obviously we don't have enough for like one-to-one, so one device per student. At the moment it's more likely around one device per 3 or 4 students in each of the hubs. So if your child is able to bring a device in, an iPad device, then it just allows them to be able to use it for themselves in the classroom when we're doing things around project-based learning or utilizing those skills.
So student, yep, so I'm unmuted. Student leadership. So this year, obviously, first sort of full year that Denham Court's open, we're going to look at using the parliamentary method for our school leadership. So using students to have voice, agency, and leadership in the playground, in the community, in the classroom, during sport and things like that. So we will have a formal leadership as well as helping to push those students to have that voice in the playground and things like that in the classroom. So our parliament model, so we have 5 ministries within the school, which are wellbeing, technology, community, environment, and the learning dispositions, with each having both a minister and an assistant minister, as well as having teachers assigned to each of them. All Stage 3 students will be joining a ministry to help these leaders sort of improve and work on those different kinds of areas at Denham Court. So we might, if you haven't seen just yet, today was the announcement of our leaders. Yeah, and here are our 2022 school leaders. So these 10 Year 6 students had been gone through the process of nominations, having a speech and voting, and they were our successful candidates for 2022. So our ministers and our assistant ministers, and that will be starting sometime soon.
Okay, with sport. So I'm part of the sport team at the school, obviously because of my love of sport and my passion for it. So Denham Court Public School will be part of a newly created MacArthur zone. So we only had the Razorback zone to start with, but with all the new development, the new schools around, it ended up being 22 schools as part of Razorback. So the decision was made at the end of last year to split Razorback into North and South zones. The students in the North zone, which is what we are in, are now part of the MacArthur zone, and the students down in the South zone, which is from Camden down to Picton and a little bit further through, they're all part of the current Razorback zone. And for our sport, our school students will need to wear their sports shirt and appropriate footwear, so joggers and that sort of thing. Our sports days are Tuesdays, and then Friday for all of Stage 3. So Tuesday for Garadi and all of Stage 3 are on a Friday. During the Tuesday sport time, they'll be learning fundamental skills and team participation, as well as safety, in preparation for gala days, the cross country and the athletics carnival, which will both be held later in the year. I think from memory, the cross country will be right at the end of this term. Gala days will also be starting up next term, so we'll be looking to get some teams organised for some winter sports for those as well. We've held our first ever swimming carnival 2 weeks ago. And of the 26 students that we took along, I'm pleased to say that 12 of them are actually going to our zone carnival, which is down at Camden Pool on Thursday. So we're looking forward to them achieving the best that they can do. There's also going to be various clinic days offered throughout 2022 and many other opportunities for our students. And the first clinic that we have coming up, starting Thursday of next week, is going after school from 3:30 to 4:30, is a cricket clinic. And so information will be coming home on School Loop about that. So it's free for students, and we'll have some professional cricket coaches coming out to teach the kids. So yeah, thank you. I'm happy to jump in here as well. So classroom resources, furniture, we have the flexible furniture and the jelly bean tables, the wobble cushions, whiteboard surfaces, all the tables are all whiteboards as well. There's the tiered seating in our presentation room, and we have various nooks and also bag hooks. So the nooks are the little brown cupboards that you can see in the top photo there, and we're using those to store most of our bags in. Because of where we are up on the top level, it's really hard to have 88 bags all outside. It doesn't allow for a lot of room. So we're trying to have as many in the classroom as we can. So learning resources, stationery, art supplies, reading books, literacy and numeracy resources that are stage appropriate and hands-on, and some K-6 play resources. So we have Lego and lots of games as well to teach team cooperation. And then for technology, we have the interactive whiteboards, the iPad devices, and we do have a set of Chromebooks. And at the beginning of the year or at the end of last year, you would have received your resource list. So for stage 3, which is year 5 and 6. So the things there that are on the left-hand side, they're just a suggestion. As far as the ruler, we do prefer a wooden ruler, no metal ones because they can be dangerous, and no bendy because they don't allow for straight lines to be drawn. They're just suggestions. So if your child has their own pencil case, each child has their own tote tray where they can leave their pencil case in there of an afternoon. And headphones are also a good idea if you're able to provide those, but they're not necessary.
Okay. Homework. So we've started sending homework out, I think about 2 weeks ago. We originally did a paper copy, but now we've gotten, I think, the students on Google Classroom. They should all have accessed that by now. So it will go out on a Friday and it gets returned on the Thursday. So they've had practice in class lately, actually logging into Google Classroom, making sure they can find the homework. They all have their login, as well as it's just displayed as it is on the screen at education.nsw.gov.au, just with their first name and last name in front. They all have a reset password, so they should all know that's 56G. It's not compulsory, it is optional. If there was something they were going to focus on, they could choose a few areas, particularly reading would be quite high on the list there. We're still just waiting on new passwords for Mathletics so they can access their maths tasks online. Wheeler's a reading app, which we have on our homework sheet. At the moment, we're having some issues with the logins, but we're getting onto that and trying to sort that out as soon as possible.
Okay, I just wanted to have a quick chat about high school. There's a few things that you will need to know. So I did send home with all of the Year 6 students in particular expression of interest forms for their nominated high school. It is a local public high school if for whatever it is in your area based on your address. However, if you were attending a private school or you wanted to choose a different option, then you still needed to fill out the form and return it. Most people have done that so far. I'm just waiting on a couple more. So if you haven't and you could fill that out and get it back to me, then that's fine. Again, that's only for Year 6 students who are moving into Year 7 next year. The reason for those forms is because information packs will be coming your way. These will be sent to you via email or through the post from the high schools, and they will include things like enrollment stuff that you need to know about, things like uniforms, when their orientation days are. If your students might require extra orientation days, then they can support that as well. There's a lot of information in those packs, and it's important that they get to you, and they get the information based on what you fill out in the form that I sent home. So keep an eye out. They would usually be coming towards late term 2, early term 3 to get in preparation ready for high school. Also keep an eye out if you haven't already on the high school's website or social media platforms around, because they'll update those as well. So in New South Wales, public high schools have a statewide orientation day. This will be shared with parents, and normally the department will give us an indication of when that will be, and we'll be able to send some information home via our school loop and on our school's Facebook page as soon as we are informed of when that date is. It's usually around beginning of December, but we will let you know as soon as we know. And then it's a whole statewide orientation day. So all of the Year 6 students, except those attending private schools, will go to orientation day on that day. And I guess in regards to what we do as a whole school then, transitions in term 4 is something that we will be starting. The idea of that is obviously getting students prepared to move around spaces, work with different teachers, and do a range of different activities to try and prepare them for what's coming in high school. We normally would do this with Years 5 and Year 6, so it'll be a whole stage 3 couple of weeks where we will collapse everything that we would normally do, and we would run it in groups like they would at high school. So they'll do things like English, math, science, history, geography. They'll do woodwork, maybe some art, cooking if we can, all different kinds of things, just to get them ready and exposed to a range of different activities. So yeah, we're really looking forward to that. But yeah, that's one of the reasons that we like to get all of this information out to you early. On that, I guess, like I mentioned before, we have obviously a school phone number where you can contact us at the office between the hours of 8:30 and 3:30. We have our school's email address, which you can see on the screen in front of you. And then there are also updates that get posted regularly on the school's Facebook page, as well as our school loop. If you do not have our school loop, I suggest downloading it. All of the notes and all of the important information you need to know goes out on that. So I really do urge you all to get that. And then we also have our school website, which gets posted with our newsletters and things like that. If you haven't liked our Facebook page or our Twitter, please go and do. That would be great. Again, lots of important information gets sent out on those as well, reminders and things like that. So I guess now comes time for our question and answer section. I do have some questions already in here. So someone has asked if they use the BYOD devices daily, the iPads daily. Brody, would you like to answer that, Mr. William?
Yeah. So bringing the device daily allows for students to sort of continue work. So we are trying to use at least the device in once per session, whether that be in our English session or today creating videos for our PBL. So bringing the device every day is a benefit, and it is encouraged because then students are using it more often, and then we get a bigger bank of sort of resources and things like that.
Thank you. One of the other questions is the homework that we set out as daily tasks? The answer to that is no, it's set out for a week. And then they'll be given a new set of homework the following week. So they can do as much as that homework. As Miss O'Leary said, it's not compulsory at all. So it's up to you and your child about how much you want them to do, or whether you want them to do it at all. It's completely up to you. But it is set out for the week. So the homework will be for the week.
And Ms. Williams, adding on to that, there was a question about, well, why it's not mandatory, and I answered that question being that the New South Wales Department of Education does not make homework mandatory for primary school, but we as a school have decided to encourage homework and homework habits, totally in conjunction or with your support. So homework can only become a good habit if they're provided with support at home. Once there isn't support at home for the homework, then we won't be pushing it to that student any longer. So it definitely is a partnership between home and school. And if you would like your child to be building those homework habits, we will encourage it, but you will need to enforce it at home. The other question I've asked to answer live here is, will there be apps like Class Dojo for more prompt communication with teachers? If you've been reading the school newsletter and other things on School Loop, you'll notice that I've mentioned a program called LinkEd Hero. That is certainly a program, or an app, I should say, that allows for more interactive communication between home and school, and allows there to be a three-way, I guess, focus on student learning. So the student can have some agency over that, as well as teachers, as well as parents. So students will be setting their learning goals with teachers, with parents, and they'll also be uploading their work that shows how they'll be moving towards achieving those learning goals. And there's then provision for comments from teachers and parents and the student about their learning. So we look forward to having that out to parents as soon as it's available. It was meant to be available at the beginning of this year, but there's been a hold up due to a myriad of COVID situations. So the app will be available before the end of, hopefully before the end of this term, as soon as it's approved by the Department of Education. We'll be one of the first schools that will use this app, and it's going to
to really involve everyone in the student learning process. Yes, I believe there is a communication section, but as soon as we have it, we'll do a big launch and we'll let parents know how much communication there is involved in that. But the focus will be primarily about student learning and their ability and the students' ability to demonstrate that, and then parents will be able to see real-time reporting on student learning via that app.
Okay. I'll hang around here for a little bit just in case someone has any more questions that they'd like to ask. However, that brings us to the end of our webinar for Garadi. So thank you very much for your attendance and your time this afternoon. And we hope that we've been able to answer some of your questions and put some faces to some of the names I'm sure your students are talking about at home. So again, thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to meeting you face to face, hopefully soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.